Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. What's up, man?
Man, hanging in there. How about yourself?
Yeah. Same. Everybody, we may hear from Greg. We
May not.
we may not. Yeah. So just in case you're wondering, we may not. That man is a busy man. So, but as we all are, though. So there's Tom. Tom, he ditched us. 1 week he was back, and now he's like, you know what? I'm done with these jokers.
Enough of that stuff. Yeah.
So
Let's
yeah,
just,
enough of them. Enough of them. So
good grief. He is a busy guy.
Oh man. Yeah. I can't even. Yeah, he just is busy.
Well, Brian, I got me a new mic here. My old one died on me, and I've been trying to wing it. And finally, I just pulled the trigger and got me a new podcast mic. So hopefully, it sounds okay. If anybody has any problems with it, if it doesn't sound good, let me know.
You can do fancy stuff too.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy, pretty cool.
Everybody, listen to this. Bruce is he's about to get real techie on us. Listen to this.
See if I can figure it out here.
You did it the other day.
I know, but I gotta look at it here. Let's see. Here it is, right here. Y'all ready? Oh, come on. All right, here we go. Let's make it sound really cool.
There we go. Come on. Everybody, let's cheer on Bruce.
Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? How are your bees?
Look at this. It's just too much. It's almost like you're in like 2025.
I know about that. Anyway, it's got some cool stuff.
Coming from
no, I'm not. I am not the tech wizard.
Coming from Lee.
This Shure mic right here, it has all kinds of features, but that's about the only one. That echo is nothing like what Greg can do with his. I guess he's got a whole control panel where he inserts those noises. This thing just has the reverb and everything else, but
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun, and so now maybe I can get my sound back. It was kind of the last few weeks I've been just trying to do it with the AirPods and just with the mic on the computer, and I'm not even in my normal studio. My daughter-in-law, my daughter and son-in-law are here with us. They just moved down here and they're staying in that room. So I just, doing the best I can down here in the honey room, which is, I guess, more bee appropriate anyway.
You've been invaded.
Well, I guess, but they're getting established. So hopefully it won't be for too long. They'll be able to get on their own house.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, so what's going on up there in Northeast Ohio?
Ryan, oh man, it's just full gung ho game on. The bees, you have no idea. So Saturday I went down to Greg's place, and it was one of his package pickup days. So I went down just to help out around the shop. He had asked me if I would go down, so I went down, and it worked out really well. Jeff and Jake were able to kind of like hang out by the trailer where they had all the bees at. I was inside fielding some questions and just helping out in the shop. So it worked out really, really well. I ended up, and there'll be a video coming out, Friday. It's already done. I'm just toying with people at this point here. Brian the Wall Builder. Tom, there were no walls. I did have donuts with hot honey. We did a hot honey donut challenge that was fantastic. So, but yeah, I did have a fair share of donuts there. But no, it was a good day. And when I went home, I had told people that there were 6 packages. I ended up coming home with 12 packages. So, Sunday then I spent, I had most of the equipment set up and ready. Donuts, that's right. And I just had to get a couple things ready. So I needed to go through and inspect the other colonies that I had. And I found one it was actually a cell. I found a couple cups, but then I found one cell that literally, like, you could hardly even see the larvae down in the royal jelly. So it was fresh. I mean, it was probably within a day. I squashed that bugger down. I switched over, some of hashtag 50 donuts. That's right, Lee. But I switched over some of my boxes to the copper infused. So I got those out there. Other boxes I've got are being branded. So, but I did a lot of work. I got those inspected and those things set up. And then I got all the packages in. For everybody also, that if you're wondering, I did get a package of bees into the Hexhive. So I know, like, last year, I did that thing. I didn't really, like, with all the issues going on last year, I didn't really want to tinker with putting bees into it. But this year it's starting out, and I thought, you know what, that's going to be the one thing that is not kind of like in my norm. I'm going to try and standardize everything else. All my other boxes, they're all 10 framers. That'll be my one tinker project, but it's looking good. And I tell you, after I got it all said and done, I literally stood there in just like the middle of a buzz festival. And like prior, I would walk down into the apiary and you could hear a little bit, but it wasn't that much, I mean, when you walk, when somebody has 2 or 3 colonies versus you walk down there and there's double digit and you stand in the middle of it. And I just literally closed my eyes and was just listening, and probably the best feeling that I've had in a long time. So I'm curious, cool. Though. Yeah, I went over yesterday. I went over just to mow and stuff like that, and I peeked into the Hexhive just to see kind of what they were doing. And the candy, they literally had just a couple millimeters left of the candy in there. So from Sunday to Tuesday, they had that gal almost out already. So I'll be super excited to see how they build that out. And that'll be something that, I'll probably make sure I do like a series on that, because the configuration of that thing, like how it's set up in that hex, the frames are they're not in a standard, side-by-side configuration. It's 5 frames kind of alternating. So I'll be curious, like, how they build that thing out, So we'll see, though. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it works. But things are, they're going to get very, very busy. So let me see here. Theme font. Where is Greg? I got the Castle Hive thing up there, but I don't know where the heck how to get rid of it. Theme. No, they changed stuff around here, and I have no clue. Private chat? No. Font? I have no idea.
It's okay. It's on your channel, so we're cool with it.
Hey, Brian, try to hit Control, Alt, Delete. Oh, what in the world? How do we? Okay, hit. He's on a Mac. Hit Apple Z for undo. There he is.
See, I don't know how to rename brand, delete brand. Yeah, I don't know how. They change stuff in StreamYard, and that's fine. I'll sit over there by it.
It's on your channel. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, it's good to see you also, buddy. So, but yeah, there's a buzz over in the apiary again. So, and I can't wait. Like, we had some storms come through yesterday. There's some more storms coming through here and there. So I'm letting the girls go until Sunday. It'll be a week. And then I'm going to go over and, I'll probably pull the queen cages out and do that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I'm just, it's, oh, look at this. Media assets. Media assets. Oh,
just
there we go.
See what happens. There, perfect. Got Castle Hives is gone. I don't know how Bruce, I don't know how he did that. It's just me and you. What are we going to talk about tonight, Bruce?
I don't know, man.
This is weird. Let's see. Okay, Brian, if you can hear us, hit Command or Apple and then Z on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Look at that. It's gone away. Media assets. I got to remember that. Yeah, so that's what's going on here. Well, Greg, I know you got a ton of stuff going on. So Bruce, what do you got? What do you got going on?
I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna listen. So I'm gonna show you this before I go to town. But look at this. This is from can you guys see this thing? I mean, can you see how big that is? Look at these huge hands. Look at these huge hands of mine. Look how big that is.
Is that a burger?
Yeah, here, look. Check this out.
Holy, you got to be kidding me. What?
So I normally wouldn't tease you like this, but Susie went out to play. She went to where'd she go? She went to a local restaurant here in Zanesville that we haven't been to together yet, called Clover Key. So shout out to Clover Key in Zanesville. That's where that burger came from, and that thing.
Wow!
I love you guys so much, and I love everyone that's on the comments here and tuning in. But this hamburger is prime nutrition for today. So while Bruce is talking, I'm gonna. You don't want to see me eat this. It's just
eat up, buddy.
It's not good. So I'm gonna black my screen out while Bruce fills this in.
Uh-oh, look at this. Here we go.
Wow, Greg, that looks good.
Look at Bruce. I can't even take this. Greg got monster burgers. Bruce is like,
it's so good. We have to disguise our voice, right, Bruce?
That's right, Greg.
Listen to Bruce.
All right, I'll see you guys in a minute.
Okay, sounds good.
So Bruce.
All right. Okay, we need to get serious. We're talking bees here.
What's going on down your way, man? Listen.
There's a lot going on down here. Actually, I'm just down here, just been playing with this mic, not doing anything else. But that's not true. But the bees down here, we are in it right now. It is the honey is flowing in. This could end up being my most productive spring beekeeping season yet. I was worried because everything was a little bit late earlier, and everything I think is caught up and it's right on schedule. Well, it's pretty much right on schedule because the privet is starting to kind of, the little shoots are kind of coming out, the little blooms, and so it's right on schedule. We're going to actually harvest next Friday, Saturday, and hope I can get a crew together, and we'll be able to do some harvesting and pulling and extracting a fair amount of honey. I went out yesterday. I had yesterday off. I kind of switched. I worked Friday and had yesterday off. And yes.
Time out, Bruce. All right, everybody. If anyone is located, and I'm pointing right at you, Lisa, pointing right at you, anybody is located in Southeast Alabama, just reach out to Bruce because he always takes the help. So,
well, up to a certain amount. I can't have too many, but definitely we need some folks. I think I got a couple people who are going to help me, but yeah, we're going to be harvesting. I don't know. I was out there and I'm just amazed at what the bees have done. And it always just amazes me every year how the bees are just incredible, how they bring that stuff in. And with, it'll just flip. Like you'll think, oh my gosh, is it ever going to happen? And then next thing you know, you go back a week later and there's capped honey in there and they're just going crazy. Yesterday I had the day off and I went around. I've kind of the last, I guess Friday, let's see, what day was it? I guess it was Saturday because I worked Friday. So Friday I went out and peeked in on some of the colonies and just to kind of see how they were looking. I went to the northern yards, Midland City, Newton yard, 3 yards up there, cell tower yard, and they're doing okay. They just don't do as well as they do down south. They're good. The bees do fine, and but they're just not as productive yet. I think the bees aren't quite as maybe healthy of bees. Maybe they are. There's some that are doing really well, but most of them are just they're not really thriving as far as like honey production, like the ones down in Slocum and Applin Farms are, and even Honey Hill Farm is doing pretty good. It's not far from that area down there, but your kangaroo escape. No, Steve, that was up around the Auburn area. I think there was a kangaroo. There's video online kangaroo is hopping down the interstate up around Auburn somewhere. But I don't know where the kangaroo came from. But it's all over the internet. You could just type in kangaroo on I-85 or something like that, or kangaroo near Auburn, Alabama, and there's a kangaroo hopping around up there. Yesterday, I think they were showing it. But anyway, so I went out yesterday and I went down to those Slocum and Applin, and I went to my honey hill farm, and I actually went ahead and had some simple comb prepared, and I put simple comb in some of my colonies. And man, I'm telling you, I used both frames from Better Bee, which are a little bit wider top to bottom. You know, they got a little more room, and they go in. The new simple comb goes in just easy, no problem at all. And then I bought some frames. I think it was from Beeline when I was up at the conference, and they're more narrow. They're more like the thicker bottom bar on there, and so those are the ones that they wouldn't have fit in a year ago. And they popped in. It's a little tighter. It's a little harder to get them in, but actually I think I like it better in the more narrow frames because they're in there. They are in there solid. They're not going to go anywhere. And so the way I did it is I had 16 frames worth. I got 10 more frames worth I'm going to do here in a little bit, but I put 16 frames worth, which I guess that's 64 possible or the potential of 64 possible packages to sell. And I put those in there. I put 3 in, I guess that would have been 4 colonies. And then I put 4 in the last colony, and I put them right in the center. And they had actually sent me, I think I showed you last week, they had sent some followers with them. There's a little kit they're selling now. And I used that on the first 2. And actually the first hive I looked at, the first colony, was so strong. I put, I took the top box off. They were up working on the top box, but they didn't have it capped yet. I pulled the next box off. They were in the process of starting to cap it. The next box down, they pretty much had, it's got 4 supers on it, or maybe even 5. I think it's got 4 supers on it. I can't remember exactly, but the bottom super, I didn't go all the way to the bottom super, but the second one up, I went ahead and I put the 3 in the middle with the followers, and then I just went ahead and put the next 3 in the next super up, and then just put the box there working on above that. And my thoughts are, simple comb might tell you, I don't know if they would or not, but to just not put that top box on. But I feel like they're motivated to go up and down between those boxes. In a good honey flow, I think that hopefully they'll be motivated just to fill out that space right in the middle of the colony where there's no comb. And so my hope is that they'll go ahead and fill that stuff up. I heard there's a guy that does a simple comb that had great success with it over the last year or 2, that he puts, I think, 2 frames in the middle, maybe 2 or 3. But I talked to Mick, the simple comb, and he kind of we've talked it through a little bit. And they're going to send me some more followers to try. And I may use that when I do the other box here, but I'm pretty excited about it, man. I'm really excited. I think it's going to work out good this year. And I wish I had gotten it on a week earlier. The flow actually was stronger than I thought it was. And, but hopefully, if we don't get it with this flow, I'll get it with the tallow flow for sure, hopefully. So I think the whole thing with the simple comb is you probably don't want to leave it in very long after they've got it completed and capped, because you want it to be nice and clean and pretty.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of watch it. All 4 of the colonies I put it in were down at Slocum. And then my other supers worth, I've got 10 more frames worth of, I bought, that's 20, I guess, units of simple comb I got at the expo. I'm going to try and probably put them at Applin Farms and just see how they do. But I'm pretty excited about it. I really am. I think that's a total of, 26 frames. That would be 100
There's 8 on every one.
Yeah, there's 8, but yeah, 26 times 8, whatever that is, 26 times 8. That would be pretty good. And if you figure you can average $8 to $10 per package, that would be
here. 26 times 8. Yeah, 208.
So that'd be over $2,000 worth if you charge $10 a package. But I will probably try to sell it through my stores, and so I may not charge $10. But even if it's just $8, that's still a lot of money that you can have out of a couple supers of simple comb. So we'll see how it goes. I know a lot of people last year, and I frankly had the same problem. It was just honestly kind of hard to get in the frames, and it was kind of difficult. And they had the little pattern on it was oriented kind of the opposite way of what the bees do. And people kind of complained about the propolis buildup around the edges, which I didn't think it wasn't that bad. It was fine, but they've actually built us. There's a little tab. I'm going to try to get a video out in the next few days, but a little tab that you fold back out of the way that kind of helps prevent that little propolis buildup spot right there at the top of the packages when they go in the hive. And so I'm pretty stoked about it. We'll see what happens, but that's a video that'll become upcoming. I'm probably going to do it in several parts this time. Instead of trying to do it all in one video, I'm probably just going to try to do like 2 or 3 different videos. And the first one, I've got the footage for it. I'll just go ahead and when I can get it edited and posted, I'll upload it. I've got footage now for 3 videos, so I've got to get them. One of them, Lisa came and helped me get the hives out of my honey super stacks into regular hives. They're still sitting there in that barn, and it's crazy. All the bees in there going in. Those are pretty strong. They've been in there. One of them's been there like 5 or 6 weeks, and the other one's been in there for,
oh my gosh,
like a week less than that, 4 or 5 weeks anyway. And so
wow.
I got to get those things out of there. I picked it up. I had to get to my supers yesterday I went up there and I had to get to my supers. And so I had the boxes sitting up on top. I had all my other supers moved out, and those 2 were sitting on the top of those stacks. And one of them was so heavy. I mean, it's 2 mediums, and I had to really work to pick that thing up. So I got to get them out of there. I just got to do it one night when the bees are all home, because if I take them out when there's bees out foraging, then there's going to be a lot of confused bees flying around up there, and my mom doesn't need to deal with that. And so I've got to wait until nighttime and get up there and do that. But anyway, Saturday evening, I had a guy, and I don't do a lot of removals, but he's just probably less than a mile away from here. And he called me about some bees in a water meter, and that was fun. I didn't do a video on it, but just a little small swarm had just moved in, had a little, probably the size of the comb that they were just starting to build, maybe the size of, I don't know, maybe just say a circle, maybe 3 inches in diameter, maybe 4 inches in diameter. And so I caught them, and they're sitting out here on my board. I got to get them moved out of here too. So I got so much to do, but we're going to pull honey, like I say, next weekend. And it's been fun.
Do you think that you'll break your 9,300 pound?
I think if the tallow flow is like it was last year, I very well could, but you just never know what that flow is going to do. But the spring flow may be a record. I know it. I'm almost positive they're doing better with the spring flow than they did last year down in those southern yards. The northern yards are just not doing as well. They're just, I don't know why. They're just not as strong. There is some honey on them, but it's not near as much as the southern yards. They may just be a little behind. It's a little bit further north. But we'll see. I think we're going to break. Last year, I think we pulled like 30 something, like 34 or 38 buckets in the spring. Yes, I am. I need to start waxing profound.
Bruce has a new mic.
Man, this mic. I've been like almost afraid to talk because
he is a new man. Right now, he is a new man.
Listen, I got this mic because Greg recommended it to me, so it's Greg's fault.
Bruce, it sounds very good, Bruce.
Maybe it's the mic that when you buy that specific mic, you sign like a contract and it says short story long, check here.
Well, it is a Shure mic, so surely you have to talk a lot, right? Anyway.
Exactly.
I'm done. Well, I'll be talking more, I'm sure. Greg, it's up to you, man. What's going on up in your neck of the woods? A lot, it sounds like.
I don't even know where to start. I can tell you what time of year it is. I mean, it's officially queen season.
Wow.
It's called cell starter land has started.
Holy!
It's one of those.
Hold them puppies
what's
up
that
again?
What's that song from the 70s or 80s? What's the guy's name?
Don't Fear the Reaper.
Ooh, that's a good good guitar solo, long version. Sorry, I'm on a burger coma all of a sudden. What was I saying? Hurt so good. Come on, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, it's great because it's one of my absolute favorite things to do is make queens. It's also one of the most like time needy things right now. So we're out. Jake and I, especially been working at night, getting colonies loaded up and then filling out yards at nighttime. So that's been going pretty good. More cowbell. There we go.
But
Reminds
if you
me
do
of
that,
the SNL skit version of that.
It's got to be Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
More cowbell.
Yeah. That's great. Man. So I don't know. It was setting out yards, trying to keep yards 24 to 48 colonies or so, getting those set out. The weather, I hate to say this. I don't know that it's been a very long time since I've seen a spring like this. And not that it's like fast and furious and that we have to be afraid, but it's consistent. It's just moving forward at a just such a nice clip that everything just keeps going and going. It's looking really good. A lot of our colonies, when they came out of the wintertime, they were down, they were down into singles really and needed to build back up. Some of them got really, really, really small. And so now everything is working on filling out double deeps really well. Some of them are ready for supers. And we've got autumn olive literally just started to explode. Really, it was yesterday morning, maybe the day before in some south-facing areas. And then, of course, we had like some really like rough storms come through again. So I was kind of worried that it was going to wash out any nectar or pollen. But thank God, this morning, I'm just seeing loads and loads of pollen coming in and loads of bees that are hot and heavy coming back in with no pollen, which, they have a little bit of a slick look to the hairs, so they're getting nectar. They're coming in with it. So it's,
did you guys get hit yesterday?
Yeah, we went through and made sure that we had, I tell you, the Queen Right dial is great, absolutely great for marking the status of your colonies. We still use the bricks to hold the lids down. Is important. We get into some of these really windy areas, and the bricks are nice to hold especially when you've just recently cracked the lid open. When you would get these 60, 70 mile an hour winds that come through, and we're on the ridges here, it's anything we can do to prevent bees getting drowned on is kind of important. But that's what we've been doing as far as the bee work goes, is just working cell starters, getting colonies built out into double deeps or that plus supers, so we can go through and pull splits and make nukes up and things like that. So that aspect of it's going really good. We're at the we're at the phase with our beekeeping where like every time you want to add a box to everything, and it costs you anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 just to add a box and frames to every, and that gets to be very expensive. So, that's a whole other, and that's tough for anybody, no matter what your scale is. But with going through and adding a box and foundation to everything as you go through there, that cuts that cuts into the pocketbook pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're working through all that. Shop sales. I mean, I just want to. I feel like I do nothing but thank everybody, but I want everyone to know how extremely grateful we are and thankful for the support of this community. The folks who shop online at nature'simagefarm.com. A lot of folks I see in the comments here. I see orders come in every week sometimes, and that really means a lot to us. So you guys, you go noticed. I had several on here so far that I've seen just quickly. Brian Zavada, I think I saw Sam Mixon cruise through there. Just a lot of different folks. So the shop's been busy. I mean, we're really growing. God's been good. The customer base has been awesome to support us. So we're busy, we're growing, and we're growing in all those ways too. So we're trying to stay ahead of the bees, trying to stay ahead of being a shopkeeper, which I know this sounds ridiculous, guys, but running a shop, running a store is like, it's such a completely different hat than beekeeping. It's like we're wearing a lot of hats. Queen rearing is its own hat. Beekeeping is its own hat. And the Queen Right dial. What did I miss? I heard my name in the stratosphere. And then shopkeeping is, and then when you get inside of running a supply shop, you've got video person, marketing person answering the phone calls, returning emails, checking people out, inventory, all the wax dipping. It's a lot that we're all working through and trying to figure out. And there's of course growing pains with all these kind of things too.
Saturday was, I think it was like the first time. Well, I think it was the first day that I really I was able to hang out for an entire day on like a package pickup, and Oh my gosh. I mean, and for everybody, like he says, it's a good thing. Their shop was, I mean, Greg, you had people from the counter, they were clear to the other wall, waiting in a line.
Just on, and that's with
It was
2 registers, and it was from
Yeah,
from
it
10 to
literally
5. Hundreds of people come through. It's an
Yeah,
awesome thing. It's just how do you trying to keep up with all that?
it was
Is
good.
it's such a blessing. I mean, I'm so thankful.
Mhm.
For that. So we're working like, anybody else. It doesn't matter what the scale it is or anything else. We all have to work through the situation that we're in and put one foot in front of the other and try to
Mhm.
figure it out. And it really doesn't matter. If you only need 2 boxes with frames to add a layer on, or you need 200 or you need 500, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing that we're doing. And really, truth be told, I could care less. If somebody's putting 2 boxes on and they've got 2 colonies, or if we have someone that we're working with here in the shop and they've got 1,000 colonies, they're the same person to me, same
Mhm.
beekeeper. I'm more interested in the heart and the mind of the beekeeper. And but it's just been an incredible year. A lot of great connections are made, collaborating with a lot of different folks.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what's been going on here. We have Learning Yard coming up this Saturday. That's going to be great. The Saturday following that is the last package pickup of the year. And this coming Monday, for those of you who are in Ohio, specifically if you're in the Dayton local area, I'm speaking with the Miami Valley Beekeepers Association.
Oh wow.
So I'll drop some links on that too, on the Facebook and such, things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to visit. I love, if I could just travel around and just talk and meet with folks and hear their stories and, kind of just be there to inspire and support each other. I could do that all week long. I love doing that. It fills me. It drains you and you're exhausted when you're done, but it fills you up in such a
Mhm.
powerful way. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's kind of what's going on here. Just that was kind of just like a brain dump after that. There's nothing left of the hamburger, if anyone was wondering. That thing, I'm not sure I even took a breath between there, but boy, it was
Did
good.
you taste it?
What was really nice about it? I wish I could have walked you guys through that thing, but there was some very delicious crisp bacon on there, but
Oh yeah.
underneath the burger was very thick. I think there was 3 or 4 very thick, like $half size kosher dill slices on the bottom.
Oh
So it kind
yeah.
of helps hold everything together. Oh man,
Oh yeah.
super, super good. But anyways,
I'm
it's that
thinking my next trip down to Zanesville, there might be
stop by Clover Key.
Uber Eats or something. Have them bring it out.
What's kind of handy is one of the yards that we just set. We've got a yard of 48 that we just put double deeps out on. It's Clover Key is kind of on the way. So we time this right. We stop there, eat lunch, and then go work the bees. I mean, it's like a dream come true. You stop by Dillon Lake, scenic. It's right there too. I mean, you just couldn't ask for anything better. But man, it's that today I was thinking of you, Brian, because today it was like orientation flights. And just you can hear, right now we're working on staging a lot of the colonies and then loading them up and taking them to out yards. And when I'm standing at the shop, we've got the, big metal building to your back looking east. And when you look out, you can see, I don't even know how many hundreds of colonies you can see just if you actually were counting and looked from here. But when you look out, the wind was blowing in such a way where I thought we were getting swarms. I kept looking up thinking, I can hear bees. What in the world is going on? But then as you get out to the yard, it just turned into this beautiful, just melodic, rhythmic hum of the bees that was so loud. And everywhere you look, the sun hits just right. And there's these beautiful, just sunbeams just darting in and out, dedicated, doing exactly what God intended them to do, fulfilling their created purpose. It's just such a beautiful thing to see that. But I'm so grateful right now because it seems like everything is just moving forward at a very dedicated, steady pace, where it's not just boom, here we are. It's like it's been moving up to it. So I don't ever remember this kind of continued ramp up like this in quite a long time. So it's feeling like the black locust just started to leave out, which means blooms are probably 10 days away, 14 days away. And we've already got colonies that are ready for supers off of the autumn olive and the blackberry coming soon. I mean,
this reminds me in a way, how this spring has been. It kind of reminds me, I mean, it's probably been, oh gosh, 5-6 years. It's been a couple years, you know. Last year was utter madness, but just for the precipitation and everything, and then the sunshine, and it's been a couple years since I remember a spring like this. So, but that's good. I mean, it's good. I'm excited to see what the bees are going to do this year. So,
what do you guys think the move is? I know Bruce last year. Bruce did spring. Was it just hot and heavy and hard, and then you paid for it the rest of the year? Or how was your spring last year compared to years prior, Bruce?
Last year it was really good. I had a kind of a record crop for spring last year, and I think this year might be even better. The previous year we didn't even do a spring harvest. It was a horrible year, so it was not impressive. But last couple of years have been really good, and very similar to what you have. We just have a steady, constant. They're just kind of bringing it in, man. They're just it's been pretty cool.
Brian, are you from what you're, I know you just got everything kind of set up and you're back in business. See what I did there? That one doesn't really, I don't know if that one really works.
I like it though.
No laughs on that one, I don't think.
No, I mean that as far as I'm concerned, I mean that's fireworks right there, buddy.
Anyways, hey, you won't. What do they say? Is you something about if you don't swing, you'll never hit, or you'll never hit if you don't swing. Whatever. Anyways, you can't win them all. It just seems. I guess what's as you get into the season, you kind of start to see the bees. Sometimes you get a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? You get a little bit of foresight. You just feel something on your heart and you start thinking through things. You haven't put it all together yet. But like last year, it felt like things were so hot and heavy so early that I felt like we had to make up for it. We were going to pay late in the year. This year feels like it is a way more, the cadence is manageable. And it feels like we're moving in a really positive direction where we're not going to be so upside down later in the year. And so you start to think about, okay, well, what is this going to look like? What can we? It feels different this year. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It just feels different.
I've been saying probably the last month and a half that I just have had this feeling where this year is going to return back to normal. I just have had a good feeling. And no idea why. Like a lot of people will say, 18 whatever months ago, you had 20 colonies. Now you got 3 and you're happy about it. But it's just, I have such a good feeling about this year and what I'm seeing already. And I'm walking out there and like on Sunday, I'm standing in just, in the middle of all of the colonies. And it was almost just like, it was just this, I don't know, like this harmony, it was just amazing. I mean, I'm just standing out there and I was just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, this year, I just have a really good feeling about this year. Really good feeling.
Well, it kind of sets us up for growth and how we're going to be managing that and what our intentions are with our bees this year. Brian, talk to us a little bit about as you're kind of getting as a rebuild year. Are you starting to see the path forward a little bit for the rest of the year, like how you may utilize these resources?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the packages, I know like some people, they say this and that, everybody preaches about packages, and I won't go down that road. That's for another time, another discussion. But it was a very fast way that I could get my numbers from 3 to 15. I plan on down the road, now before I will pinch all of them, I want to assess how they are, because if I truly get some rock stars out of those packages, I'll keep those queens. But for ones that don't quite make the grade, well, I've got 3 survivor colonies that I've shown you guys the brood frames. I mean, that Pepto Pink Queen literally has edge to edge larvae and capped brood. I mean, she's a rock star. So I've got queens that genetics wise, bees, I want to fill my yard with those so I can very easily, repopulate those packages. I can get the genetics in there, drop cells in them. So, but that's my plan. I got the number up to where they're at. With my kind of hybrid, I say single brood, they are down in 1 deep now. So I'm going to split those now. With the amount of brood that I am finding in those colonies right now, it's going to be probably Sunday or so decision time on, yes, this is a rebuild year, but I'm going to have to decide how far I bust them down. Because if this year truly is a good year as far as the flow, well, do I want to bust them down to the point where I annihilate my honey flow? So it's just, I'm going to have to make some decisions. I think, if I split those 3 into 6, well, I'll be at 18. Now, I could always look at packages, and when ones are laying out, laying it up, I could always pull like 1 or 2 more splits out of those. That very easily I could do that. With 12 packages, I could easily set up 2 splits and get my number to 20. And that's where I want to be at. Come August or so, once it's getting into like that rural critical time where you need to not be playing around up here, I want to be sitting at 20. So from 3 to 20, I think it'd be easy for me to manage, and that's kind of my goal. It takes a little extra work, of course. I mean, for Sunday to have everything as smooth as what it was, well, what have I been doing in the last 2 months? I've been going over once, twice a week, scraping frames, cleaning boxes up, getting everything ready so that when Sunday did come around, it literally was just, I think the longest part of the whole thing, it was just dealing with the syrup. So, and of course, I made a sticky mess in my room and splashed some of it in my face. I literally, with the veil on, slipped and cranked 1 bucket and it sprayed me. So literally my face is sticky. That was probably the longest part. It was just setting up the extra additional ones. But this year's going to be good. I mean, I'm going to get back to that number 20. And I think moving into the future, that will benefit me having a buffer. I don't, next winter, I don't think that, and I could be wrong, everybody, if later in the year or next year, I end up suffering massive losses again, you can go back to this date, April 30th. But I don't think that this next winter, if things go how they are and how normalized Mother Nature's looking right now, I don't think that we're going to suffer as large of losses, as high a percentage of losses. So, but if we do, let's say I hit 50%, well, then I'm at 10, and well, I split them right back to 20. So that's why I want to get up to 20. Now, let's say I only lose 5. Well, then I replenish my losses, and any additional, that goes, I'm going to build a bench where I can put additional splits, and I'll just start selling off, my splits. So that's kind of where I want to get at. I want to get to the point where I have a bench set up where I can put those nukes, and then I want to get to the point where I can start messing with queens. So, and then it'll be good. I mean, it's just, I think this year is just, it's going to be a heck of a year, and I'm excited for it.
That's awesome. You have a lot of options. And I think one of the big mistakes a lot of folks make is they predetermine the use of that unit before the unit has time to actually mature and show what it can produce. And someone says, oh, I'm going to take these 10 packages and I'm going to have 30 colonies by the time I go into the wintertime. It's great. You can totally do that. It's no problem. But are those 30 colonies going to be strong enough and be not just strong enough, but big enough, the right size going into the wintertime that when they crack out of the spring the following year, they actually do something? You can take 10 packages and make 30 colonies, no problem, going into the wintertime. But there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts still left yet to be seen. You may have a bunch of colonies of those 30. You may have 22 that make it past dearth and robbing and early winter, fall junk. And then you come out of the spring with 22 that are so small, it takes them forever to get built back up. And they don't make any kind of a spring crop. They're just getting brood replenished, and it sets you back. Whereas if you were to take, rather than chasing numbers, if you were just chasing numbers of quality hives, and you had 15 or 12 just jamming colonies who were just maybe a hair bigger than you wanted for wintertime, and then all that fall off that you would have in the wintertime is no big deal. They jump out of the spring, and now these rascals are really doing something because they've got a field force that's actually large enough and mature enough to bring in a crop and actually do something with it inside of a colony. Beekeeping, you can't just think about between now and December. You got to think about right now, and every decision, everything that you want these bees to do in April and May of next year, you've got to start putting them in place now to do it. You don't have to. You can keep floundering. You can keep thinking you can push these bees harder than you can. You can keep saying, well, I've got the secret silver bullet bees and all this silver answers. You can keep doing that. But what you will probably find is that it's always never going to be exactly what you wanted it, what you hoped it would be, and you're going to second guess every decision that you make until you start to just hold yourself back, be a little bit more conservative, but let these units mature, and then make a decision on what is the best use. Because you may have some colonies that are so fat and sassy, they don't want to put swarm cells on. What do you do with those, buddy? You just stack supers to the moon on those rascals. The ones that they get built up and they start to get fat and thick and they want to keep putting on swarm cells, fine. They want to do that, play to their strength, go ahead and split those ones out. So you kind of have to take it by a hive by hive basis based on your goals over an 18-month period, not just this next 6 months.
Right. I look at it too, and I say, I'm going to rebuild numbers this year. We have a spring that is already setting up to be a pretty decent spring.
Yeah.
And my packages, they were installed in April. Okay. April, whatever the date was. They all of them but two. The package that went in the Hexhive, they went on Premier Foundation. And then there's another colony that I set up. I got some frames from 21st Bees, those infinity frames, those plastic ones. I got a set of those, set of deeps and a set of mediums. That way I can do my kind of hybrid setup. But those are the only two. So out of 12, 10 of those packages were installed on drawn comb.
That's amazing.
So, and I fully expect, if tomorrow, now we've got rain coming later in the day. If it wasn't raining tomorrow, I would go over and I would probably be pulling queen cages out because they would be released. But you figure I mean, those queens, they literally are going to walk out of those cages and they're going to have comb that they can just go right to it. They've got syrup on them. They've got pollen patty on them. I mean,
and probably a flow coming in on top of that.
Oh yeah, they're going to be rocking and rolling. So for a rebuild year, I think this is the year to do it.
Yep. Sounds like you've got a good piece of work in front of you, but you've got numbers now to do something with it. So it sounds like you can not only meet and exceed what you feel like you've got to get to for this year. Bruce, what about you? I know every year you kind of feel like it's more of the same every single year, but Bruce, what have you dialed in, pun intended, this year? Have you felt like you've dialed it something, a component of your beekeeping in based on what you learned last year and the year before? That have you made any adjustments or changes with what you're doing this year?
Speaking of dialing it in, Greg, thank you for sending that to me.
There we go, buddy.
I still.
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot. Last couple of years, I've really focused on mite control. I did more feeding this past year than ever before. And my colonies probably look as good on average as they ever have, if not a little better. I do have some that are, of course, a little bit weaker than others. Some yards are weaker than others, but it's just been mostly trying to control pests and make sure they have plenty of food. Man, I tell you, another thing that's really helped me is finding those queens early in the year where I could do those early splits and introduce early queens from Zach, and they've been really good queens. They're not super mite resistant, but man, they're just good bees. They're calm, they're gentle, and they just get it done, man. They make honey, they produce, they reproduce, they multiply. And so it's been a blessing. That was really a blessing to me to find those queens, for him to be willing to send them to me, even though the first batch I got from him, he kind of reached out and said, hey, if you want to order some queens, I'll get you some to get rid of those mean bees, basically is what he told me. And it started there. And so it's been good to me. As far as growth goes, I was watching, if you remember Matthew that came on a few weeks ago, Matthew Walker from Walk in the Woods Apiary. And he was talking about the cloakboard method and everything. And I watched a video he did. I think it dropped yesterday morning or Monday morning. And he said he just went out and basically had all these double deeps back from California, and he just split them all. He just went out and he, pulled the top box off, put it on their pallet, hauled them away, introduced queen cells and everything, didn't even look for the queen. And so he just doubled his numbers just like that. And I'm like, it would be so easy to do something like that, to build them up into strong double deeps and then split them all and still make honey. But I just have to be careful because, as you said, Greg, earlier, the equipment is a consideration. There's so many different things to consider in that. And so I've got to be careful. But I have used almost all the boxes you brought down here. I've got maybe 10 or 15 left. And then, of course, the frames that go in them. So we're getting your Propola boxes out.
Nice hat, Bruce. Looks good.
Propola and Hive boxes, and pretty excited about it. But Brian, I put a little thing down there. I shot this footage yesterday. I had yesterday off from work, and I shot this footage. I don't know if you can pull it up. I'm not sure if the sound will be good or not. I'm not sure if this is one I talked or not. But if you look at these bees, if you can pull it up, Brian,
I see it.
Maybe you'll be able to. Yeah, you can hear it. Maybe you'll be able to see. I think I may have actually talked in this one, so. I meant to put the other one on there, but if you look, you can see.
How good those boxes
only
look.
to zoom in and see all the bees. It was just like an absolute. It's kind of like what you described, Greg. The bees are just humming and buzzing, and just
I love that.
thousands of bees everywhere, and it was just really cool.
It's a pretty spot.
It is a beautiful. Greg, you've been there. You helped me put the first box out there, but
yep.
We have some of those have 3 and 4 supers on them. The ones that are just either double deeps there are probably just splits I made this year for the most part. And man, look at these right here. Look at the one.
Wow.
And I think I added a few boxes after this. But that one right there, that one I think is some of Zach's queens just doing well. But those are probably ones from last year. But they've just built up just beautifully, and they're just killing it. And so I'm super excited. We're going to pull honey next weekend. But look at this. Look at these right here. Just, you know, we got 3 supers on there, and it's only spring. Normally, we stack them up like this more for the tallow flow. But a lot of these boxes are totally full of honey. So yeah, it's been fun, man. I go out there and you could tell it was kind of later in the day. I could just stay out there and just watch these bees fly around. I could just sit there. It's such a pleasant spot. That's another little strategy I use right there. And I don't know how many people out there do that, but I found if I have some sort of an upper entrance above the queen excluder, it tends to help for some reason, in my opinion, with the bees. And so if it's a single box over the excluder, I'll put a little stick in the corner, and that provides a little bit of space. One thing that happens, I usually put the super on, and it's debatable whether you should do this or not, but it's something I do. I put the super on for a week or two before I put the queen excluder in, and that allows the bees to start working it, cleaning up the comb and getting it ready. And when that happens, invariably you're going to have some queens that get up there and start laying in that comb that you put on there. And so I know some people don't like that. That's one reason they put queen excluders on immediately. Plus, it does take an extra step to go in there and shake the bees out and put the excluder on. But one reason I put that stick up in the corner, or I create that space, is because if there's drone brood up there above the excluder, when it emerges, those drones can't get through the queen excluder. And so I made the mistake one time of doing that in an Apiary colony, and I just had a bunch of dead drones that had tried to make it through the excluder, and they were all trapped in there. And I opened another one up, and the drones all flew out. So they just they can't get out, or they can't get through a queen excluder. So that's one reason. And then if there's more than one super on there, I slide the top box, the second box, I slide it forward, so there's about a 1/4 inch gap in the back. And you can see on those colonies, you can see the bees, they love that. I don't know why, but they love it, and they just pack the honey in. They don't necessarily use that upper spot more as an entrance very much, it doesn't seem like. But they just love to work it. They love to guard it. They seem as happy as they can be. And for some reason, it seems like they put honey in a little better when I do that. They tend to work above the excluder a little better. I don't know why. Maybe that's just kind of what I've done the last about probably 2 to 3 years with great success. And so if it goes on up to 4 boxes, I'll move that second box above the excluder forward a little bit. And if I get like 2 or 3 boxes more, I'll move the top one back a little bit, and I kind of rotate up that way. Mm-hmm. And they just really like that. So that's a little strategy I've used that seems to be successful that I really like. If anyone out there wants to try it and see what you think. One question I've had on my videos when I show that is, what about when it rains? And so people are kind of concerned about that.
What do you think you're doing?
Come here. This is Reed, everybody.
Hi, Reed.
I want to say hi to my friends. Say hey. Talk in the mic. Say hey guys.
Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
This is my grandson. He's living with us right now for a few weeks. He can't hear you. They said, how are you doing, Reed? You doing good?
Good.
All right.
He's got the Alabama deal, just like in your hat.
Reed helped me take honey yesterday to Apple Farms, didn't you, Reed?
Oh, wow.
Yep. Anyway, thanks, bud.
That's awesome.
That's okay. I'll go back with your mom. Yeah, he's awesome.
What are we doing tonight?
Right. I want to play.
What do you think you're doing? He says.
What do you think you're doing on the computer? We got stuff to do, Grandpa.
Let's go. He can hear me. He can hear me talking, but he can't. I guess he can't hear.
You can't hear what you're talking to. That's
so.
Great.
Anyway, I found that if you slide the boxes forward, if you adjust them around a little bit, it really tends to help. And so I've done that. It's a pro tip, or it's a tip that I like. And but the rain it's not an issue. It's only like a 1/4 inch in the back. Mm-hmm. It really, I slide it forward enough to where the little shelf of the frame sit on the little frame. What do you call that little frame rest right there? Yeah. You really move it forward to where it's really just kind of over that, so the bees can get in and out. And rain's not going to be an issue with it that way. Plus, a lot of my lids are the migratory lids, and so they have a end piece on there which kind of keeps the rain from dripping on anyway. But it's not an issue at all. I know people are concerned about, not an issue at all. So
I've heard all those boxes that you've got going on out there. They don't care at all if they're out in the rain, inside or out.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. It is fine. I love those boxes. You can tell, even though I've put out, I had 70, and even though I've put out probably 55 or 60 of them, there's still a lot of boxes in that bee yard that aren't the Enduro Hive boxes. So I've got a lot of work to do to get all my boxes replaced. A lot of money,
slow and steady.
A lot of money ahead of me. And I do have some of those boxes in other bee yards as well. They're not all out there. They've got some in Slocum, and I've got a couple of up in Newton and Midland City and the different places. So, but eventually we'll get it there. I do like the boxes a lot though. But one thing I've noticed, maybe it's just the breed of bee, or maybe there's not a lot of propolis coming in right now. I haven't seen a lot of propolis in the grooves in the boxes yet.
Right.
But I know maybe that's more of a summertime thing when they're not bringing as much nectar and pollen and making honey. Maybe in the summertime when the pine trees are dripping that sap more and it's hotter, maybe they build more propolis then. But we'll see how that works out. But yeah,
Same
right
thing
now
with
they're just
the propolis on the simple comb. A lot of folks were a little late getting the simple comb cassettes out, and if you get a little late in the year and you try to push it to get them to draw those out, a lot of times you're getting into the propolis season too. And so, for us, the bees do a lot of work with propolis late summer going into fall, and it's almost like they're setting up their medicine cabinet for the fall for that. So I think that's a good observation there, Bruce.
But I just noticed there's not a lot of propolis in there yet. But they're so busy bringing in.
I
Right now,
pulled
it's just the nectar.
Sunday, Greg. You would be very, very proud of me. Sunday when I'm out there and I'm checking my 3 colonies, and I switched over. I was going to switch all 3 of my survivors over to the copper dipped.
Mm-hmm.
The one now. The deep in that it's one of your wax dipped, so it's no harm there. But it was screwed onto it had an Apame bottom board, and I thought, do I want to go through all this right now? Nope. I'm like, I just do not feel like dealing with all that. But it's on one of yours. But you would be very proud of me because there are no more Vivor boxes in use in my apiary. So, yeah, that's where the box that had my name went on. It replaced that one, and I'm curious to see how they, how they build that out inside. Now, that box, because it's got my name and that on it, that is the only box in the yard that the Queenrite dial is on the back of it.
Right.
Because I tried positioning it, and I'm like, where do I want to put it? And I'm like, I can't put it on the front because I like them in the lower left, but I'm just like, I can't cover my name and all that. The box, it just looks so darn nice. So that's the one that's on the back. But yeah, I'm in the process, like you, Bruce, replacing boxes and things like that. And I've got some more coming that'll pretty much manage things. And with my count where it's at, I think, what the heck did I say? I was at like 34 deeps or something like that I'll have. So I've got enough to manage some colonies. So other than now, my next trip down, Greg, I need like 2 or 3 migratory lids. I think 2 or 3. It's the only thing I looked in there and I didn't have enough. So I got some of the old telescoping, and I despise those things anymore.
Wow.
I do.
Well,
I just
that's good. You're getting everything squared away. You got the Vivor stuff out of there, so no more of that communistic, Christian hating, slave labor pushing China stuff in there. That's great.
Yeah. It looks so darn good though. So yeah, 1 hour 5 minutes, gentlemen.
It always goes by so fast.
I know.
It goes by quick. Well, I think we touched on some good things already. It's everybody wants to grow, and that's what the bees are wanting to do this year.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things to consider is, hey, it's great. Let's move the bees in the direction that we need to, but let's also consider letting the bees kind of show us what they can and want to do.
Yeah.
Who won the hot honey donut challenge? So if you don't know what the one and only Mr. Mike Art, home of the Easy Ox, is talking about, Brian, we had one heck of a shindig at the farm this Saturday, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And so I'm not going to tell you all that the very first one that we tried was mine, and I had no idea. We had no idea. We didn't know whose hot honey was whose. And Greg tries it, and like you were coughing pretty good, buddy.
the hot stuff. Now let's see. Brian, you took a video. Well, I think Susie was your camera lady.
Yeah.
And Annie and Lily were doing the Vanna White deal for us, getting us all set up there.
Yeah.
But well, I won't spoil the video, but there were
It was fun.
3 hot honeys that we trialed, and it just wasn't your regular old hot honey taste test, right? It was very sweet,
right?
And it was in Nature's Image Farm fashion.
It was
You
good.
just can't go wrong.
It was fun. Yeah.
So when you were down, you took a video of that, and then I think you got a video of what did we do? Install
package.
Yeah. So
that's fun.
Yeah, and it was. By the way, thanks again, Brian. It was great having you at the shop to help answer questions and talk to the folks about products. And I'm not sure how many autographs you gave away, but we're going to have a separate line just for autographs from Brian.
I'm going to be.
We'll have to have Bruce's cardboard cutout, because here we are, and we're like one stream team short. But what we did is, on the TV screen here, we've got a lot of little snippets of videos and things kind of playing all day for folks, how to install packages and all that. And there are several StreamTeam videos that pop up. So a lot of times me and Brian are just watching me, Brian and Bruce talk about bees on the TV here in the shop. But and it's so fun doing
it was good stuff.
Having everybody here. So
think about how many hours of footage you have from these videos.
It's unbelievable.
You've done it for almost 3.5 years.
Outside of just the live chats. That's what I was saying. I was going through just quickly making a playlist for the shop here to watch on the TV. And there's stuff that you forget about. It's 4, 5, 6 years old, and it pops up, and you just realize, how valuable it is just to go ahead and take the video and share it. And it's just a part of your journey. Later, one thing we have started to do is all of our learning yard folks, we are now recording the learning yards and then posting them to the membership only side of our YouTube channel. So if you are a part of our learning yard crowd and you haven't already subscribed to the Nature's Image Farm channel as a member, when you do that, you've got access now to the learning yard videos. We're getting ready to launch that second one to come out, and then we're going to start launching those right after the learning yards on Saturdays. So if for some reason you can't make it, can't get all the way here, or if you were here and you were just fire hosed with information, you can play that back and then tune back into the learning yard. And then for folks who maybe can't make it to the learning yards, they're not in our local area here, but you kind of still want to be a part of the learning yard community, you can check these videos out as a Nature's Image Farm member. So it's just another way that we can make sure we're getting information out there. They're not edited. There's nothing. There's no frills. It's literally just raw, uncut, start to finish kind of stuff. A lot of questions and answers from folks, but we'll also be launching videos when we're out from learning the actual yard itself, not just the shop talk. So it was great having Brian in there for the season kickoff of the learning yard online. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that was fun. I really like the work that you've done out there just with the stone and that. It looks looks good. It does. I didn't realize that you were updating all that, and that with the new stands and everything, everything looks so clean,
Yeah.
When you have the Endura Hive sitting on a wax dipped stand and everything is all stamped, it looks so darn clean, literally from the ground up.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, that's fantastic look. So yeah.
Guys, we're an hour and 11 minutes in. I figured maybe you got some questions started here.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a question here
for you from Todd. Greg, recently heard that a cell builder that is made from the queen that is to be grafted from gets a better take rate. Have you experienced this?
I almost want to, not that I want to say I want to call malarkey on that, but man, we use our our cell starters kind of mature and develop as the season kind of goes on, I think one of the worst things somebody could do is have a queen that they are breeding from, have one of their breeder queens in a position where that breeder queen is a part of your queenless starter, queen right finisher flip flop. I think that's probably one of the worst things that you can do, because sometimes that flip flop doesn't work out well, and they make another queen going through that process there. So I wouldn't. Now, if you're, how would that scenario look like? How would that scenario play out? I'm just thinking, okay, well, how would you be grafting from the queen into a starter? Well, she would have had to have bees in the starter that are hers. So you would be going in and removing her from this colony and then grafting into it. I much rather have these colonies when they come out of the spring and they're ones that you've earmarked and say, here are our breeder candidates. I would much rather break them down into smaller colonies that are large enough for her to continue to lay frames of brood at a time, but not so big where they're busting out of a 10 frame box and you're afraid that they're going to take it to the next level. That I don't like that. I like to keep them in this, 7 to 8 frame cycle all the time, where I can pull resources out and then I can put stuff in and just kind of keep her cruising in that pattern. That way she stays in the box. Now, that being said, I have pulled queens and used those as self-starters, and I have done that with specifically breeder queens. Have pulled them out of doubles and then set them aside. I don't know that I've seen any great difference in take rate, but if you're already at, let's say, an 85 or 90% take rate, and if this does work and you get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 more cells because of it, I don't think it's worth it if you've got the queen in the flip-flop queenless starter, queen right finisher scenario. But if you're just pulling her, putting her into it's breaking her down, and then using that existing area, that existing colony for a cell starter, and you get a little bit of an increase, nothing wrong with that. I've never seen that to be as a standout personally. I'm not sure, but Todd Prater he's a bird dog. He's always flushing up new and interesting ideas. So I'm sure he's heard that from somebody somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm personally, I don't know. I've not seen much of that pan out.
Yeah. Good stuff. Bruce.
Yes, sir.
What's your hive count compared to last year?
It's actually, I think, about the same, probably total. I haven't actually gone through and counted production colonies, but I lost down. I was probably about 105 to 110 coming out of winter. It may be a little higher. It's not. The northern bee yards are not near as big and strong as they were a couple of years ago. I'm not sure why. I've just had more loss up there, but my southern bee yards in Slocum and Applin are just doing really good, and maybe because I put so much emphasis down there. I love that Applin bee yard. It's just in such a pretty spot and such a really good place. And the Slocum bee yard is kind of tucked back in a little cul-de-sac back in the woods, but it's also a really good bee yard. But just the visual of that Applin bee yard is just really, really awesome. And Greg will tell you, it's just such a beautiful spot.
Yep.
And for some reason, the bees up north, I don't know if there aren't as many resources up there as there are down there in the Slocum and Malvern area, or if it's just there may not be as many good resources, but for some reason those bees down there seem to be doing a little better the last couple of years, and I've just noticed that. And I spend probably most of my time down there too, but I do check on all of them. But my hive count is probably similar to what it was last year. I need to count them. Last year, right before our June harvest, I had 144 colonies. 100, I think, is what I counted, 100 of which were production colonies. And I ended up, for the year, not just that harvest, not just the June pull, but for the year, I ended up with 9,300 pounds, which averages, if you say I've got 100 production colonies, that averages 93 pounds per colony.
That's nice.
I don't know if that's exact math. Some of them obviously do way more than others, but because the spring pull, I didn't count how many production colonies I had then, but if you average it out over and just say it was 100, I probably didn't pull from as many in the springtime. What I usually try to do is only pull fully capped stuff in the spring, but I think our spring honey is drier than the summer honey. And so, I usually just leave it on there. But this year, after what we experienced last year with so much to pull in June, I may pull a little bit more in the spring, just in next weekend, just because it would help maybe. Well, what it'll do is it'll give more place for the bees to put the tallow honey in, assuming we have a good tallow crop. But it may also hopefully relieve the load a little bit in June and July, because we ended up pulling a really big harvest when Bracken came down. We had Lisa over and we had a really big harvest in that main June harvest. I think it was the 3rd or 4th weekend in June. Came back a couple of weeks later and did whatever the rest was, like 40 boxes or something out of that last bee yard. But anyway, so but this year we'll just see how it shapes up. I really think, and this is answering way more than the question, but I really think I very well could have the biggest spring pull ever next weekend, assuming they keep doing what they're doing. I mean, I'm just amazed at the capped honey in these hives right now.
Do you want to know what that means, everybody? Bruce is going to have the best harvest ever.
Possibly.
Terrific harvest. A fantastic harvest.
We haven't had much rain.
We'll compare. Weak harvest. Bruce, he's got the best.
We haven't had the rain we've needed for about 3 or 4 weeks, but today it rained actually, so maybe we're going to be okay. You don't want a lot of rain, but you do want a little bit, just to kind of make sure we keep the trees and flowers blooming and maximizing that nectar. I don't know. This year our privet flow didn't seem like the privet. Some of it seemed bloomed out really good. Some of it didn't seem that strong, but man, they're getting it from somewhere. I don't know where they're getting it from, but they have just been packing it in. Beautiful white wax. It's just so awesome.
Yeah. This a question. I've never used a fume board, so
can I give you my opinion? Let me give you my opinion on this, because today I actually had a not really a debate, but a friendly back and forth on a Facebook page. The commercial guys typically most of them use Bego. Bego is a butyric acid based stuff, and it smells just like vomit, because that's what's in vomit that makes that nasty smell is butyric acid. And I guess it just runs the bees out supposedly faster in whatever weather. I use Honey Bee Gone. I think Honey Bandit is somewhere. It's got more of a really actually a good smell. It smells almost like almonds, or I don't know, if a cherry. Just really smells good. The Honey Bee Gone is what I've used over the years, and I spray it on thick and heavy, and it runs the bees out really fast. I have about, depending on which harvest, like 6 to 8 fume boards going at once. Like last year in the summer, we had 2 crews with I think 4 fume boards each, and you're literally pulling supers as fast as you can apply the, you apply you take off the lid, put a fume board on there, go to the next hive, put on the fume board, and you go through however many fume boards you have. And by the time you get to the last one, you come back and the bees are out of the first one. You pull that box off, lower it. And so I don't know how you could go a whole lot faster with Bego, but supposedly that's what, that's what a lot of the pros use, and all the guys, they're like, that is the only thing that works. And I'm like, no, it's not, because I use Honey Bee Gone and it works really quickly and efficiently to me. I think the key is to maybe have a few more fume boards, and just maybe it's not as fast per fume board as the butyric acid stuff. I've never used that because it's it's just so gross, and it gets on everything. You'll smell it like, you'll smell if it gets on your clothes, or if you set the fume boards, it just smells like throw up everywhere you go with it. I don't know how people use that stuff, but they do. A lot of the commercial guys use that, but I use Honey Bee Gone as my go-to. And I know a lot of people use Honey Bandit, and whatever the chemical is in it, or whatever it's mainly essential oils is what Honey Bee Gone is, I believe. Mm-hmm. But whatever the bee repellent is in it, it does not smell anything at all like the Bego. It actually smells kind of good. So we actually apply the fume board, and then, when you come back, there's sometimes a few stragglers, especially maybe around the edges. And we have a little mini DeWalt leaf blower. I have one like Brian Lee uses. It's just a little small one. And if there's any bees in there, you tip it up on in and blow through it real quick. All the bees, pretty much all the bees fly out just in a few seconds, and then you go stack the box wherever you want it. So it goes extremely efficiently the way we do it. But I think I've got either 8 or 10 fume boards. I think it may be 8 or 9, whatever it is, but it's plenty to really get the job done.
That'll be moving into the future. I already know that's going to be a bottleneck, just because currently how I do it, I shake the frames off. I've got a Hive
can't do
butler,
that.
and I shake the frames, put it in the Hive butler. But if I get up close to, let's say I've got 15 colonies that produce, and I've got 2-3 supers, I'm not going to be able to shake frames. So moving forward, like if I were to get fume boards, how many would you say to get?
How many
Like
colonies?
3, 4, 5? Like, if
I
I'm
just
gonna
get
How much help do you have?
it's just me.
probably 3,
That's
at most 4.
3.
With one person,
3.
3 to 4.
It takes
You'll be
about 5 to
moving.
7 minutes using Honey Be Gone, and they're out. And
Well,
and
yeah,
it depends on the
most.
sunshine. If
Right,
it's on a
right.
cloudy day, it's going to take maybe 7. If it's a warm, it's like full sun day, it might be 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it goes
yeah.
pretty quick.
That's probably pretty good
Okay.
average. I literally, if you have 3 or 4, you'll take off the lid, apply one of them.
Go to the next.
The next one, if you have like say 3 supers or even 2 super stacked, on each box, just say you have 2 on each box, and
Yeah.
you'll put the 3 on there, boom, 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 and then you may have to wait a couple of minutes when you go back to that first if you have 3. But once you pull that box off, by the time you pull that box off and move it to your wherever you're putting the supers, the next one will be ready, and then you lower it. When you take that one off, you lower the escape down, so that one starts while you're. So once you get rolling, it's about as fast as you can move. And but I do like the leaf blower.
Yeah, Drew Jobber says to get a bee escape in that. Now my issue is my bees are not at my place; they're 20 minutes away. So if I were to put escapes on, I would have to drive over there, and like I don't have. I would need to get 15 or 20 bee escapes. It
gets to be expensive, and it takes another. They both work. I mean, the triangle. We've and Brian, when you're here next, we actually make our fume boards. They're black on top, which helps, especially up here in the north. And we carry the Honey Be Gone line here as well, and we've got the triangle bee escapes, and they all work. If you've got time to stage it, it's about a day per super for a triangle bee escape, right? You stick them on, and I mean, it's usually a ghost town. If they're not, then a fume board for 30 seconds, and it's all cleared out. But I like both of them. BeGo is about the worst thing in the world that you could ever do, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It gets all over you. You skid it on your boots. It's on the floorboard of the truck. It's in the back. It takes an entire year, literally. No matter how you scrub it, it takes at least a year for that smell to go out of there. Now imagine you're sitting down for a nice Mexican dinner and you're just going to straight bean burrito land, right? But let's just say that wasn't enough, and you have just a straight, dry, thick peanut butter sandwich with no honey and no jelly. So you got these big bean burritos and peanut butter sandwiches on your belly. And let's just say you upchuck all of that. That's what BeGo smells like. It smells like bean burrito, peanut butter,
nasty
vomit to the umpteenth degree. And it's all over everything. Your hands, your clothes, your boots, your floorboard, the back of the truck, your boxes, your equipment. I mean, and it lasts forever.
Nasty.
Yeah, you gotta have almost like a designated spot to store it where nobody's gonna smell it.
It is nasty. It is, and it will 100% eat through some plastics. It'll eat right through it and leak all over the place. Ask me how I know.
Commercial guys ask, if you go on the commercial page when they're talking about it, they are like, use the butyric acid. I'm like, I am not going to do it, period.
BeGo works so good, and it actually, dare I say, smells good.
Honey Be Gone, yeah.
Honey Be Gone works so Honey Be Gone.
I've heard Honey Bandit is really similar. I've heard really good things about it too. It's got a similar smell, I think.
It's not good. Not good.
Yeah, forever.
Was that Sandlot? Forever.
Egg cook. Yeah, forever. Yeah.
There goes my ribeye I was about to cut into. Oh, sorry about that, Todd.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, we've got some good questions. They've been popping up.
Yeah. Here's another question here. Morris Homestead. What temp should I be worried about closing bees in a hive for 24 hours for splits in the same yard? Good question.
I do that. I've done that a lot. Bruce, I'm sure you've done that too. I can tell you what temperature totally cooks bees. What about you, Bruce?
I never close them up, I never close them up for 24 hours. I make sure they're strong enough, and if they fly back, maybe it'll be a little weaker for a while, but especially if it's getting warm or hot like it is now, I would never even. I've never done that before. I close them up occasionally when I'm transporting my bees. I'll close them up. Usually, I'm not transporting them more than 30 minutes, and I'll even stick a rag in the entrance for that for just a few minutes. But if it's going to be 24 hours, I never close them up for that amount of time. Personally, it's just
I'd say jump in the truck, close the doors, and just sit there. Or when you get in the truck, and after it's been in the yard, when you get in there and you say, "Oh my gosh, it's hot! I got to roll the windows down," that is no good for bees. It also depends on what you're splitting them in. If you're putting them in pro nukes or jester boxes, you've got very little wiggle room on temperature. So I would say we do that from time to time here. It works great. But what I do is if I'm going to close them up, I'm also going to move them to a piece of shade. And I'm not going to worry about it. If it's getting above 80 degrees outside, boy, you are really rolling the dice. If it's in the 70s and it's not full sun, I think you've got some room. It also depends on the size box you put them in. If you're making 5-frame splits and you're putting them into 5-frame nukes and you're closing them up, you may have some trouble. So I would, number one, if you're going to close them up, try to move them to a piece of shade. If you are going to make the splits, hopefully maybe you're making a 5-frame split into a 10-frame box, maybe not quite as big of a deal. The other thing I would encourage you to consider is it depends how many splits you're making. If you're splitting a colony to Timbuktu and you're taking double deeps and making 5 or 6 splits out of it, yeah, you're going to have, 2 and 3 frames that you're working with. Probably not going to be a super big deal. There's no reason why you can't throw those into a jester box, close it down, move them to a piece of shade for 24 hours. I think that would work. If you're only making single box splits, then what I would encourage you to do is move the queen. Just move the queen to a new spot and make her a little heavier than you want, because you're going to lose a lot of that field force. But if you move the queen and the field force, there's no need to close anything up at all. If you move the queen, a lot of those bees are going to stick and adhere with her and that brood. When you move them, all you're going to lose is some of the field force going back to that original location. That's about the cleanest way to do it. Matter of fact, we went and helped out with some folks at church today. That's exactly what we did. They were in double deeps with 2 supers, went in, found the queen, moved them up the hill to a new spot, so we moved the queen mama and her support staff up to a new spot, put an excluder on top, put the honey super on. Now they're ready to make honey. And then the split is now in the original location. No queen. They're in double deeps with a honey super, because all they're going to do in this requeening phase is make tons and tons of honey. So I think we were done maybe, 2:00 in the afternoon. I came back at about 6:30 or so, and then gave them a mated queen, just a queen, no attendants, just a queen in a California mini cage with a piece of masking tape over the candy tube. Went ahead and put that down, pressed that into the comb. Now it's going to take them 4 days or so to get her out. They're going to accept her. Everything is going to be fine. She'll be laying again. No problem. No, not worried about heat, not worried about closing them down. But making splits, there is an incredible art form to making splits in the same yard if you have to. That's how we started off. We didn't have any other places to put bees, years ago. So we had to get good at making splits in the same yard. So you got to get creative, and you kind of know what you can get by with and what you can't.
I always split mine. I just have that one yard, and whenever I pull my splits off, like the couple that I'm probably going to do either this Sunday or days after that, it just depends on what I see, but I don't close them up. So yeah, this is a good comment here.
It is a great comment. I like it. And I've never even thought of this, but Drew Jobber says, I like the bee escapes in the fall to stack wet supers on hives to clean them, then put the escapes under the next day and they clean and empty. And any fume won't work when it's cold in the fall for me. And so
That's true.
Now that's all true. I've never thought about doing that. That's a great idea. I usually just when
Yeah.
I'm done with honey, I just set them on trailers and the bees clean them out and then I store them. But that's another way.
That's a
I
good
just set
one.
them where the bees can get to them, open cleaning. But that's a really good idea. I didn't talk about bee escapes before. I've used them in the past, but one of my problems has been you've seen my bee yards. A lot of my honey boxes have holes in them, and so if you put a bee escape on, and you especially if they're not in the middle of a flow, put a bee escape on a beehive, and it's at the end of a flow or it's kind of later when the flow's over, that can create a robbing frenzy if there's any opening. So last year I tried an experiment and I just went through and I put bee escapes on a lot. I've got like 60 bee escapes. Or maybe even more. I've got a bunch of bee
Wow.
escapes because I used to do them all that way years ago when I didn't have quite as many hives. The thing that Greg mentioned earlier is it's another trip to the bee yard, and there's a lot of now. It's really awesome when you use bee escapes to just basically lift the box off and take them to the trailer, but it takes another step, and so. But last year I tried it and I got out there. I'm like, I'm going to try it. And if you watch the video from when we were pulling honey last summer, I had a crew with me and we just, at the beginning of the day, we talked about how we were going to decide if we like the bee escapes better or fume boards better. And, but when I was applying those bee escapes on a Wednesday before we pulled on Friday, I just didn't remember how many holes there were in my honey supers. And so I just had to try and put tape around it and try and clog those holes up, and it became quite a nightmare. Whereas you just show up with fume board, and in June here it's hot. I mean, it's going to be hot. It's not an issue, and it's just with a big crew, it's just faster with bee escapes. But I think everyone kind of consensus was they kind of prefer the fume boards, but it was just because, we had such a big crew and we were moving really fast. I really like bee escapes, especially if I had all brand new equipment or Enduro Hive equipment that didn't have holes in it and extra entrances and everything. I would definitely, and I had the time to do it. Bee escapes are so nice because you just don't have to, but it's just a lot of labor to go and do that, especially if you have to try and seal up holes in your boxes. But that's a great idea though by Drew Jobber there, as far as if you want to clean up your comb, just put them on there, let the bees clean it out, and then the bee escapes on and just pull them off and go store them. You don't have to worry about. That's a great use for them, and they're really good for honey too. They're very, very effective. It's just, if I had like 10 colonies, I might just use the bee escapes, but it is an extra trip. But when I got 100 production colonies, for me to do it alone is almost
tough.
And I got to do it all like in a day. It's just almost impossible for me to do that.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, good stuff. Well, what's coming up here in the next week, Mr. Jenny?
Well, we're going to be, I actually have to work this Friday. I'll have Monday off, but going to be just it's just some things going on at work. This past week I had worked Friday and had to work Tuesday. I normally have Fridays off. I work 4 10-hour days, but some other coworkers kind of had to do that to kind of help some people out. So, but it might work out even better for me this coming weekend, because my goal this weekend is to go through and to just see, I get an idea of what the honey harvest is going to be. Maybe mark the boxes we're going to pull. Maybe move the boxes we're going to pull to the top. So when we go out there, we can just kind of pull them. I don't know if we'll get them all done or if we'll be able to do that, but that's kind of my goal. I did that last year, the week before we pulled the spring flow. I put like an X on the boxes we're going to take, and it was just real quick. And I think I did even put them on the top. Whatever I did, I marked them, and so I knew which ones they were. So if we pull up into a bee yard and I say I have 4 supers on a hive and it's the bottom 2 above the queen excluder, I just know to pull the top 2 off so we don't have to start fume boarding them until we get to the one I'm going to pull. And so there's not a lot of assessment going on when we actually pull the honey. So that's kind of my goal this weekend, is to go through, assess kind of what our honey pull is going to be, and then actually, get the boxes set up and marked so I know which ones are ready to go. And of course, they'll be maybe putting some more honey in the week between, but that's okay. We may pull a few more than we think, or maybe not quite as many. Sometimes, for some reason, if we're between nectar flows a little bit, sometimes I may start consuming some of that honey. We may not have as much as we think, but typically it works well that way. That's what we did last year, and it worked well. And I'm also I may go ahead and get the rest of my other 10 frames of simple comb ready to go. They're going to send me a few more of those followers to try. It's a new thing they're just trying. It's maybe available on their website, but just to put on, if you put it simple comb in the middle, like 2 or 3 frames or even 4 in the middle. If you put a follower on each side, the idea is it keeps them from drawing it out too far, from the frames from being too far. But what I did, I only had 4 followers, and so I used that on 2 boxes with the simple comb in it. And the rest of them, I made sure there was a nice frame of capped honey or mostly capped honey right next to it. And theoretically, I don't think they'll draw that capped honey out anymore, and it'll also keep the bee space appropriate. If it was in a 10 frame box with 10 frames in it, to be able to hopefully keep that simple comb where it needs to be. So that's kind of what I'm going to do, is check some of those and see if they're actually drawing them out. And if I have time, or if I feel like I want to do it, I'll go ahead and put the rest of the simple comb in, or I may wait until after our spring honey harvest and just put it in for the tallow. I haven't decided on that yet, but it's not a big deal to put them in there. What I do is I just take, and last year I put for those who are interested in simple comb, last year I put an entire super on there of it, and they drew out, I had 32 frames worth. I guess what's that? The middle, 4 times it's the middle frame. If they filled out all the middle ones, that would have been 4 frames worth of simple comb. And I had 32 that would have been sellable if I would have sold them. And there were a lot of them that had some in there, but they weren't, either they were too fat or they weren't fully drawn out. And I think, but all the nice ones were kind of in the middle. So after talking to Mick Fry, who, the simple comb owner, him and Madison, after talking to him, he said there's a guy somewhere, he sent me the information, but he does it kind of this way where they go right up to the middle. And the guy, I think he almost can pull them out like every week, pull out some cartridges and put some more in. The bees fill them out so fast, is what I understand. Theoretically, that's what's going to happen, but we'll see. And so that's what's coming up this next week.
Nice.
Just kind of assessing honey situation for our spring honey harvest, and then trying to see if I can talk some people into helping me. Helping me at least. I think I can get it pulled. I think I'll be able to find someone to help me pull it. But as far as like getting it actually extracted, I do need a decent sized crew, I think, to do that this year. And so I need to get some folks talked into it. I don't want to use up all of my capital because we're going to have, I think, another huge harvest in June, and I want to make sure we have some folks to help out with that one. I'll see if I can get a decent crew up to maybe help me out a little bit, and we can get it done.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Greg, we're going to pass it to you in a second, but up here at my place, I got a video coming out of all of my stuff that I did Sunday. I got that already queued up for Friday, so you'll see all of that. But I'm planning on going over on Sunday and checking all the queens, just getting everything situated there. I'll just check feed. I probably, like I said, I'm about positive that when I check those buggers that I'm going to find eggs in 10 out of the 12, just because, like I said, they're on drawn comb. So the other 3 that I have, I'm going to I got to stay on top of them just because I don't want to lose any bees into the trees this year. So Sunday may be a day where I split some colonies. It might, because I have seen swarms up here have just started. Like within the last week, I've caught wind of a couple people saying, hey, pulled into my yard and, actively saw one of my colonies swarming. So it's just starting. So from where mine are at, and I've been in them and trying to manage them, to be honest, I think I'm about a week from splits on them. So, and once I do that, then it's just going to be ride everything out, build the colonies up, and, have a good season. So, but that's it for here. And then, in another, another week and a half, I'll be driving back down to Zanesville. So, but, Mr. Burns, what's going on down your way, buddy?
I am just trying to get through. I'm on a day by day scenario right now, and just let's see. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. Monday we'll be speaking at the Miami Valley Beekeepers Association in the kind of Dayton, Ohio, Tip City area. So looking forward to meeting with those folks. I'm talking at I think it's Zanesville High School, or one of the Zanesville schools, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think is that next week too. And then we've got a bunch of queen rearing timeline things happening next week. Cap cells, incubators, getting ready to set a bunch of more cells out. So a lot of that is going on right now. We got ahead of a lot of the colonies by getting an extra deep and frames on everything, just so we can grow brood. And if we end up making a lot of honey on deep frames, no problem. Won't be a problem at all. We've got some beautiful, truly 100% made in the USA stainless steel, beautiful processing equipment here from Maxent to put through the paces. It's just so whatever we can come up with, we will throw it at it, and it's going to be awesome. So looking forward to sharing a lot more about that journey of getting rid of the Chinese products, getting those out of here, and getting the truly made in America products in here. It's one thing it's been heavy on my heart for a little while, but we've got a lot of American beekeepers who want to complain and say, the Chinese funny honey is impacting our bottom line when it comes to what we're wholesaling and retailing our honey prices at. But they're also the same beekeeper who is ordering their equipment from Alibaba and Vivor and all the China codes of the world. And so they're using all of the Chinese products to make all of their honey products to sell. They're feeding the same beast one way or the other. So I think it's time for American beekeepers to put their money where their mouth is and support truly American industry. That's the way the future is shaping up, regardless whether you like it or not. A lot more American industry is going to be coming back to the USA. And with Maxent, they've been doing it since 1970. I've seen them turn 304 stainless produced in Kentucky. I've seen them turn that into bottling tanks and extractors and then capping tanks. These are not just Chinese pieces of equipment coming over on a sea container, slapping an American flag on there and calling it good. These guys are about it, and I really appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to sharing a lot more about that as the year goes on. But this coming weekend, Learning Yard, this Saturday, 10 to 12, that's going to be awesome. The shop's open 10 to 5. So I would encourage you, if you're in the Ohio area, or we have folks who come in every weekend, surrounding states and even further, just to visit, to see what EnduraHive is all about. Come by and let us earn your business. Brian, I think it might be time, and Bruce, maybe we can get Bruce up here. Bruce is so busy in June, though, it might be kind of hard. Maybe we need to have like a summer shenanigan convergence and try to get a lot of the stream teamers up here just to kind of hang out here at the farm and just fellowship. Yeah, summer shenanigans. Yeah, I know. Oh man, I've got a guy. Oh my gosh, Damon, if he's listening, I know a guy who is like the brisket king, and I don't just say that loosely. This guy is the brisket king. If we can get him to come out sometime this summer and just work his magic over charcoal, get a bunch of beekeepers here just to hang out, talk bees, fellowship, that would be really awesome. One thing I was thinking about, and I'll close with this, is I know a lot of us, Bruce is like 45 days, 30 days ahead of us already, maybe a little, and so his work pace looks a little bit different, but I would imagine Bruce is in that, like, let's stick with it. Let's keep the work is really starting to become heavy. It's really taxing on the body, taxing on the mind, taxing on the labor, all the things that have to happen to follow through. And then the year's not over. A lot of us are just building up into that. But I saw our great friend Mike Berry. I saw him post something today. It was a video of him just catching his breath in the shade, sitting on the side of his trailer, and I thought it was such a. Sometimes the older that I get, it seems as though everything becomes a sermon in my mind. And I might just be having a sermon with myself, just talking to myself, but all these ideas and how things are all tied together, just kind of, that's what I think about sometimes. But when I saw that with Mike, I immediately thought of this, and I'm going to read it here. This is Grandma's Bible, so I'm going to read it from Grandma's Bible here. But James 1, verse 12, blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them who love him. When you start digging in and what that means to endure, what that temptation means, it's so easy when we get into the really hard times where we really got to dig in. It is so easy to be tempted to just give up, to just not follow through, to just take the easy way out. That's not Mike Berry. That's not a lot of us here either. You know, endure through all of that, and you'll get to the other side of that mountain that you've got to climb. I know a lot of us are facing a lot of mountains, a lot of rivers we got to cross. But the great thing about all of this is that we don't have to know what the future holds. All we have to know is He who holds the future. Until next time, we'll see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. for another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. Guys, what channel are we on next week? Bruce? Okay, we're going back. We're back into this rotation here. Okay, all right. Same Stream Team time, same Stream Team channel. No, different channel. Bruce's channel, 8 p.m. next Wednesday. Thanks so much for spending your time with us tonight. Until the next time, I want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.